seconds left. Eagles by 8. Brady lines them up. He's back again. He steps up. He's hit. He stumbles. He is throwing it deep for the end zone, and it is batted around and incomplete. And the game is over. The game is over. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
Aloha and hello out there, everybody. What's going on? This is Miho, as always, baby. If you don't know by now who I am, welcome.
And I'm Pags.
Hey, there he is.
I'm in the sidecar here.
Look at that guy over there, that big bald guy. Hey, that's Pags.
I'm here. We're here talking birds. E-A-G-L-E-S. Eagles.
Oh, man, it's been a couple weeks since we've had the Road to Victory podcast, but we are back. We're talking a little bit of undrafted free agents. Made a couple of under-the-radar moves here recently to kind of fortify the back end, and ultimately I want to see where you're at as we're heading into kind of the phase 2 or 3 of the offseason, and that's OTAs and kind of minicamps coming up here in a handful of weeks.
This team might be the best team we've had in a very long time coming into Philadelphia.
Really?
The depth and the talent across the board. If our quarterback could play fucking as well as he did 2 years ago, this team should be a no-doubter playoff contender / Super Bowl contender.
I do think it's the most weapons he's ever had.
Ever.
It's the most weapons maybe the Eagles have ever had.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, you got Ertz, Deshaun, Alshon,
Goddard,
Nelson Aguilar, Goddard,
JJ,
Jordan Howard.
right? Running back Miles Sanders.
Bro.
Options, baby.
Options.
And they fortified what I thought was one of the most pressing needs that they had remaining, and that was interior offensive line.
Yes.
Brought back our guy Stefan Wisniewski.
Penn Stater.
It's amazing, man, how he keeps doing this, right? Him, Jernigan, a few other guys. He cuts them because he's not going to pay them that much, lets them test the market, and they're like, oh, well, there really isn't another starting job out there for me. And how he's like, come on back for less money.
Hey,
we love you here.
Stefan, we know that Sayamalo is going to fuck up sometime this year. Go on back in.
Well, and
the
Brooks
starting
may not
job.
be ready to go
Right.
right off the bat, although early indications based on social media, that boy's putting in work.
Yeah, he is.
He was on the treadmill the other day pounding, and I'm like, that's a lot of weight coming down.
He's huge.
But if he can learn from anybody, it's Peters, who
Yep.
came off the same injury a handful of years ago. So here you go, Pax. Following the signing of Wisniewski, my question to you is, in the past couple of years, they've kept 8 to 9 offensive linemen on the roster, depending on, kind of other positions and where they ultimately need the depth. So you have your starting 5, Peters, Kelsey, Johnson, Brooks, Samalu, right? So backups, you have Wiz now internally. You have Mailata outside.
Yeah.
You have Dillard outside. So that's 3 guys. Then you have Vaitai and Matt Pryor, also drafted last year. So that's 5 to where they're ultimately going to keep 3, potentially 4. So out of those 5, do you think there's any trade value in any of them? Who would you take? What do you think the Eagles ultimately do for Labor Day?
Well, you're obviously keeping Dillard. He's not going anywhere.
Yes.
So there's 6.
Wiz isn't
Wiz
going
is
anywhere.
1. There's 7. So then it comes down to Mailata, Vaitai, and Pryor.
And you're keeping 1 or 2. Rank those who you would keep in order.
If,
or what you would do,
Well, am
I
I
guess.
doing it off potential of...
Is
it he has to fucking play if somebody goes down?
No, it's they're going to be the 7th or 8th lineman. Like you said, I think Dillard's the first tackle off the board, and
Right.
Wiz is the first interior guy.
Yeah.
So then you're going to have, 2 guys, probably 1 interior, 1 kind of swing dude, which...
Probably move on from Pryor, see if you could trade Vaitai and keep Mailata. I hesitate to say that because Mailata's such a project, but... You know what you're getting from Vaitai, and you can find another Vaitai if you lose a tackle.
I do think they like the depth and athleticism of Mailata. The question is if you can get anything for Vaitai.
Well,
or if
he's
you're
a
gonna have to
starting
cut him.
left tackle in a Super Bowl.
Right? But Mailata, I think, has more value over him because you already have your backup tackle, so he's going to be a 3rd guy, and I think Mailata, for the future, gives you a higher upside than Vaitai, who's also on the last year of his rookie deal.
Yeah.
So he's a free agent after this year. Pryor's going into round 2, and they had cross-trained him at guard. So in my eyes, I'm thinking Mailata and Pryor have the inside track there, and we may have seen the end of the Vaitai era in Philadelphia.
It started so bad with that Kerrigan game where he came in and Kerrigan had 3 sacks on Wentz. And then he kind of righted the ship. And then when Peters went down in the 2017 year, you didn't hear much from Vaitai. He played very well. And then last year, he was fucking bad again.
Just mentally, I wasn't ready. Or I think we've seen he's better when he has the practice reps.
Yes.
When he comes in the middle of the game for Peters, he tends to not be able to be thrown into the fire. But when he was in week 4, 5, 6, 7, getting a rhythm, I think that's why he was able to perform.
When he has the security of like, I'm not going to get yanked the second this fucking...
Or Peters is coming in when.
Right, yeah.
You know, type of thing. But it's going to be, that's an interesting battle to watch, as well as the other signing, Cody Kessler. Former 4th rounder, 3rd rounder of the Browns. He has big league experience, NFL experience. My question to you around that whole position is, you need 4 guys. So is he just a camp arm? Because they just drafted Clayton Thorson, who I think they want as their 3. You know, they carried only 2 or 3 last year, so ultimately Cody Kessler. But at the same time, Pags, right? The problem there is if you let Kessler go, Wentz hasn't played 16 ever.
Right.
So that means Nate Sudfeld is going to play football at some point this fall.
Yeah, but
which means your backup's going to be Clayton Thorson to Nate Sudfeld and not somebody who started 88 NFL games, know the West Coast offense, has run an NFL quarterback room, has the respect. I'm going to be interested to see that 3rd battle there between Thorson and Kessler, man.
Well, here's the thing. Can Thorson get thrown on the practice squad? Because the Eagles have kept 3 quarterbacks the last however many years.
I'm not 100% sure how the cut process. He may have to clear waivers.
Okay. Because the way I'm looking at it is kind of like how the Browns did it last year with Drew Stanton as their 3rd guy, and he was kind of the voice in the quarterback room with Tyrod Taylor and Baker Mayfield. So the Eagles have shown that they have no problem suiting 3 quarterbacks on a Sunday because Sudfeld has been suiting the last 2 years. And
keeping him on the roster just in case.
And then throwing Thorson on the practice squad for now.
That's going to be an interesting kind of thing to keep an eye on. Hopefully Kessler lights it up in the preseason and you can flip him for a late round draft pick.
Hopefully this is all a fucking mute point and Wentz plays 16 games.
We'll see, man. But up until, he does so or does it again, these are the things you got to think about, worst case scenario.
Which sucks.
Very much so. Very much. But that's kind of the most recent signings. They had to let go of Luis Perez, your AAF fantasy quarterback.
R.I.P. Luis. Thanks for your service.
Although I did hear from sources that Luis actually broke down the huddle on the first day of OTAs. He fucking chumped Thorson, went in there and broke that shit down.
Oh,
so
that's my man. That's
shooting
why
for the stars,
him. That's
Luis.
why I drafted him.
He's like, I got one shot.
He was on my AAF team for 1 week, and then I dropped his ass for Gilbert. So
I love it. But Howie Roseman also extended a recent signing, Blake Countess, at the safety position. This is an interesting little theory of mine, Pags, based on some reading I've done, that the reason they're extending Countess ultimately, I think, is because they're going to end up cutting Sandejo. Mm-hmm. Because the tail behind the Sandejo signing is if they cut him, he would not count against compensation picks again. And there's a potential based on the formulas and other free agents, such as like Jordan Matthews, who is on the bubble out in San Francisco. If they both don't make it, there's potential that the Eagles could get like a 4th or a 5th round pick, or if it's just Sandejo, it's like a 6th or a 7th. But in my eyes, I'm going, okay, well, if you have Countess and Sandejo and they're kind of neck and neck, and the one guy's super cheap, and when you cut the other guy, you get a 5th or a 6th for him, that's a pretty easy decision when you just put it on the fucking blackboard.
Yeah, logically, that sounds right up Howie's thinking what you're doing. I think you're pretty in tune with Howie. You and Howie are on board with
Well, the reason he's doing this, again, we've talked about, is the Wentz extension.
Right.
Because he knows he has to pay him a shit ton of money, so they're going to need a lot of these draft picks and a lot of players who are contributing that are on their rookie scale deals, such as these running back receiver we drafted, in the 2nd round this year, and the future picks we're going to have. So they right now have $21 million in cap space, and I don't think it's coincidence that they're just sitting on that and not spending it anywhere.
Right. As far as Sandejo and Countess, I don't know if I would move on from either of them just based off of how depleted our secondary looked last year.
Well, we have so many bodies there.
We did
dude.
last year,
You got to
too.
cut somebody, though. That's what I'm saying. You keep, 4 corners and 3 safeties?
All right, so we did it with the O-line.
All right, go
we
through the
have
corners.
Mills, Darby, Jones,
Maddox.
and is Maddox the only other
Thrown
corner?
there. And then you got
And
Douglas.
LeBlanc.
You got Douglas.
LeBlanc. Sold Douglas. I forgot about him.
Yeah, right. That's 6 right there. So you're keeping 4. Maybe Maddox as a safety. Okay. Jenkins, McLeod, Maddox,
Sandejo,
Countless,
and
Sandejo. We got like 11 bodies for 9
That's
spots
a lot.
here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Maddox ain't going anywhere. Jones,
And
Mills,
Countess gives you the
Darby.
special team side of things.
Rasul Douglas plays well when he plays. Like LeBlanc was excellent. So one of those guys has to go. And then
Yeah.
if you're moving them and keeping 4 safeties, there's Sandejo
Dude,
being
I'm
shown the
thinking
door.
Jalen
Man.
Mills might be freaking cut.
I don't know. He was kind of, to your point, starter in the Super Bowl.
I
He was our
understand
top
that.
corner, but he's still coming off an injury. It depends, I think, if he is a good camp or not.
Mills and they could cut their losses with Sidney Jones if he shows up like dog shit again.
It's crazy, man. It's
But
like
Rasul
you said.
Douglas just keeps fucking staying there, and he gets a pick in a game, and then we get him in another game, and he looks like freaking dog shit.
And I think
But
he's
he
in his
tackles
last
well.
year of his rookie deal as well. So I don't know if he's an extension candidate, which kind of
Right.
grays things when you get into that area. Oh, well, let's flip him for a late round
And maybe
pick.
Crayvon LeBlanc was just a one-trick pony, and
Because they already moved on from Sullivan, I believe.
Yeah,
he
Trey
was on and
Sullivan.
off the roster because they went with Countless and Sandejo. So we have good problems coming up in training
these
camp.
are good problems to have. We're not going, who the fuck is playing?
We got numbers issues, and honestly, I would still like to see Chris Long come back at the
Yeah.
defensive end. It sounds like that's not going to be the move for
Right.
him, but really, Pags, like you mentioned, man, Howie's making a lot of these little moves. Who was the linebacker they signed? Was it Ford? LJ Ford? Earlier this offseason, who's like a special teamer and
Yes.
kind of a solid signing that I'm hearing more
Out of the
so
Steelers.
with Wisniewski and, kind of a backup guy who you'll see and you go, oh, man, nice play. Who was that? Oh, that's that Ford guy again.
Yeah, you got Zach Brown, you got Vinny Curry coming back. So they have made a lot of moves this year, even though a lot of them weren't just signing free agents. It was like little moves here and there.
A lot of short-term deals, which, again, means Howie's looking to the future, getting these rookie deals, the defensive end, 4th-rounder, Josh Sweat. These guys going to have to kind of step up as they
Howie does
move
it
on.
brilliantly. Gives them prove me contracts, and all these players keep coming. Alshon's the perfect example. Like, we'll give you 1 year. And what did he do? We went and won a Super Bowl, and he got extended halfway through the year, even though he didn't play that great in the beginning of it.
Well, Timmy Jernigan's another one.
Timmy Jernigan.
Up until he got hurt, and now was another one of those of, okay, we'll have you back, but we can't pay you what we paid you just because we don't know how you're going to be.
And
if-
Wiz has been the same way for the last 3
he
years.
just keeps showing up. He keeps knocking on the front door like, I'm back to work my shift.
I'm going to that Wentz softball tournament again. I'm excited to see Wiz hit about 70 home runs like he did last year.
I like it, man. Looking forward to some good video and good content
Yeah.
from that day for sure. But that was the Road to Victory podcast. Good little back and forth there. Ultimately, we're looking forward to rookie minicamp.
When we first started this thing, I was like, what the hell are we going to talk about?
Oh,
That we freaking reeled it.
Max.
The Eagles, we always have something to talk
I'll
about.
find something to talk about,
I
okay?
feel like the Eagles is just like something like, we'll figure
That's
it out.
why we have the podcast, because I always have something to talk about. So we appreciate you guys listening. Let us know how you're feeling about our birds out there. And 11-5 NFC East champs, for sure.
Super Bowl favorites, baby.
Let's
Let's
go.
go. Go Birds. Peace.
9 seconds left. Eagles by 8. Brady lines them up. He's back again. He steps up. He's hit. He stumbles. He is throwing it deep for the end zone, and it is batted around and incomplete. And the game is over. The game is over. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.